So the immune system and the nervous system are very closely connected. So especially for anyone with autoimmune conditions, healing stress is a major pillar that if your doctor is not recommending to you, then find extra support.
Living with autoimmunity doesn't mean settling for less. Inspired Living with Autoimmunity is the show for high achievers who want the energy and vitality to live fully, not just manage symptoms. With your host and autoimmune coach, Julie Houghton. It's time to take your power back.
Stephanie, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
I'm so excited for this conversation. A, because it's so needed, but B, I'm looking forward to busting some myths because I feel like there's a lot of buzz going on in your space. I know I see a lot of stuff pop up on social media. And so I just can't wait. But I would love to know how you got into the somatic healing space and um, decided that this was your calling.
Yeah, it has been a really long journey, Julie. It started when I was at the fresh age of 12 years old when I received a diagnosis of arthritis, bursitis, and tendinitis in both of my hips, but especially my right hip, where my body was so inflamed at such a young age where I couldn't walk upstairs so often that I couldn't flex my hip enough to lift my foot onto the next stair. And this wasn't a mechanical issue. Like I wasn't sick. I wasn't unhealthy, right? Sick, unhealthy, right? I was normal. I was, um, in a good weight range and I was active and I had,
Yeah. Otherwise healthy.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
traditionally healthy. And all of these massive issues. The chronic pain. I was later diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, with ADHD. And throughout all of these diagnoses, I'm trying to understand like why am I feeling so shitty?
Yeah.
Sorry, can I cuss on here? It's
You can. We are a
okay.
raw, yes. No filters.
Okay. Um, just feeling horrible. And at such a young age, I'm like, it's not gonna go up from here, right?
Right. Right.
Unless I
It
do
doesn't
something about it.
typically,
Yeah,
unless we learn. Yeah.
yeah. Unless I do something different. And so that really kicks me off on a healing journey where I'm looking at the food that I'm putting in my body. I'm reading ingredient labels. I'm 12 years old, mind you, reading ingredient labels, making anti-inflammatory green smoothies and, putting turmeric in things and then moving into yoga and Pilates and chiropractor, physical therapy. Like I'm doing all of these different things for the body and
Mhm.
also noticing that it's impacting positively my mental health, my mood. I had several bouts of depression in high school and in college, at university. And eventually, I get to a place where I'm introduced to the nervous system, but particularly the work of stress and trauma healing
Mhm.
and how our experiences in the past impact our physical and mental health.
Yes. Amen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I wanna just pop in and ask, like, I believe well, I'm not gonna tell you what I believe. Do you believe that everybody needs this work on some level?
100%.
Yeah.
Like, not a doubt in my mind. I have not met one person on the planet who's not experienced trauma. The only thing that differs from person to person is the specificity around the trauma. So, how intense it was. Was it a single incident, like a car accident, or medical trauma? That is, to be under anesthesia is trauma for the body. Surgery is trauma for the body. Um, so yes, everyone has experienced traumatic experiences that in our society, from a Western context, I can't speak to, um, you know, m more indigenous tribes have ways of processing this that we have shut down, but from a Western lens, in the United States, Canada, Europe, right, that we as a culture and as a society have actually shut down our connection to self and our bodies, our nervous system's ability to process these stressors in a way that when we say process, it means like we're ingesting these things. We can think of it the same as food. We're ingesting food, ingesting experience. The body is interacting with it, and we don't give it space to be metabolized, to be processed and released. So those stressful, traumatic experiences stay inside of our system because what happens is on a physiological level, we respond, we react, we have those fight flight mechanisms where the heart rate increases, we feel warm, our muscles tense to prepare us for action. And if the experience doesn't get to complete, we stay in that vigilant state. So the body is always in this, I'm alert, I'm on guard, I'm protecting myself.
Mhm.
Immune system's always going, always going, always
Yeah.
going, right? Because the immune system is our major protective system. So the immune
Yes.
system and the nervous system are very closely connected.
Yeah.
So especially for anyone with autoimmune conditions, healing stress is a major pillar that if your doctor is not recommending to you, then find extra support.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I wanna I've heard you talk about and this gets received different ways depending on where people are in their healing journey. And I went through it in mine, this like trying to think your way out and execute your way out of, I can manage my stress, and like you said, do I believe in anti-inflammatory diet and proper movement and circadian rhythm and sleep and, detox and toxin, all of those are important, but like you said, if we're in this constant stress response state, whether you're aware of it or not,
Yes.
because
Yes.
that's a whole
Yes.
'nother thing.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work, and I love that you talk about perfectionism, as not being the solution because I don't know how many years ago it was where I had this aha moment where I was like, "Wow, every client I work with is a perfectionist." And then I was like, "Hmm, mirror. Is that how I got here too?" It was like I would have never it, like, literally took that for me to realize, like, yes, these tendencies
Yeah.
are at some point don't serve us, and so when you're talking about healing, you're not talking about mantras, mindfulness, not that any of those things are bad,
Right.
but this
I
is
love a good mantra.
totally
Yeah,
different.
I
Yeah, me
see it every
too.
morning.
Yep, me
Yeah,
too.
yeah. It's amazing.
So let's talk about the like, how did you get to the somatic work?
Yeah.
And I I feel like fascia is such a big buzzword right now,
Mm.
which is great, like, educationally, but, you're the real deal, so I want you to teach us a little bit about our bodies.
Mm. Man, you've brought up so many interesting points. I'm just sort of like feeling into the different threads
Uh-huh.
that we can pull on here. Um,
Let's start with the basics, like, what is our fascia?
Mm,
And,
mm.
we've brought
Yeah,
up we've touched on in prior conversations on the podcast, that things getting stuck in the body and the body holding on to stuff, and I know I've heard you reference one of my, like, absolute favorite books, The Body Holds the Score, we just but, take us start at the
yeah,
elementary level
yeah,
of what
yeah.
is going on here.
So I even think I'll zoom out a little bit to sort of
Yeah.
include, like, the fascia and perfectionism, because those are 2 of the threads that have been already
Yeah.
dropped into this space. So and a foundational, like, what the heck is somatics? Because yeah, it's a
Yeah.
buzzword for sure, and I've been thinking about this so much because somatics in, again, a Western context is
Mhm.
very new. Most of the, like, game changers, pioneers are still alive, right? We cannot say that about biology. We cannot say that about really any other science.
Yeah.
They're mostly still alive. So very, very new and like, what the heck is it, right? So when we're thinking about healing, the conductor, the master coordinator of all of the systems in the body. So the immune system, the endocrine system, the digestive system, the respiratory system, like all these to create this beautiful health and harmony of you.
Us, yes.
Yeah, is the nervous system master coordinator. And it's all about safety and survival of self, of, yeah, of self and species. Which, when we're on a healing journey, can be so individual,
Mhm,
but we have to realize that we as mammals are not meant to be alone, and
mhm,
we heal in relationships. We thrive in relationships, so self and species is really, really important, and somatics can often be translated as body, like, "Ooh, body."
right.
Somatics is working with the body, not working with the mind. I don't think that's a great way of explaining it because exactly.
You're integrated, you
Yeah,
can't
the brain is part of the body, my friends, like,
right.
that's together,
Yeah.
and sometimes we hear the word body and we think, like, very mechanical, like, "Ooh, I have my left arm and my right arm and my shin bone and my
Mm,
kneecap," I tell it, right? Like, we're anatomy or mechanical. And the thing that I really want to amplify in this space right now, Julie, is that the nervous system is an energetic system and your body is mostly energy,
mhm,
right? Every cell of your body is 99.9% empty space or energy, and a very small percent of it is matter. So it's like, whoa, what does that open up, right? It opens up that it's a dynamic, intelligent, creative, energetic system that is a harmony of a bunch of different things going on inside, right, self, and between relationally, species.
right.
And it's so interesting because our nervous systems are designed, again, safety and survival, that if there's a threat to somebody
Mhm.
in my tribe,
Yep.
that my nervous system gets that message.
Yeah,
And because of the internet, for good or for bad, we're seeing chaos
right.
happen.
Yeah, the inputs are just endless.
Right. And our nervous systems are reacting to those stressors as if they were happening to our next door neighbor or our sister or ourself. So when you ask, like, should we be doing this? 100%, every single person on the planet.
Right.
Because not only are you taking in so much stress and trauma in the past, present day, but your ability to show up more
Yeah.
patient, more present, more loving, more compassionate, more kind, more curious, like your ability to show up as that is going to impact every single person, not only your immediate, your family and your best friends, right? Your coworkers, but also every single person that you come into contact with, even if you're just exchanging a glance at the coffee shop.
Yeah,
energetic
absolutely.
systems. Yeah.
Yeah.
So somatics, body-based, but also dynamic, intelligent, creative. And as we're pulling in back the perfectionism and the fascia, somatics is okay, so how am I experiencing life, right? How am I embodied?
Mhm.
And that can be sleep patterns. It can be reactionary patterns, right? Like, is your primary method of reacting to stress and triggers? Is it to get really frustrated and yell? Is it to slam a door? Is it
Yeah.
to shut down, right? So, all of these different behavioral things that we used to only address through the mental health field are embodied patterns that have been practiced over time, all for the sake of safety and survival, right? They're all adaptive survival strategies.
Yes.
Everything we don't like about ourselves, adaptive survival strategy.
Yeah, served us at some point. Yep.
Served us at some point. Exactly. Exactly. It served us. And so the beautiful work that I get to do in somatics is really bringing it's healing our relationship to not only the stress that we experience, stress and trauma that we're experiencing on a consistent basis. 'Cause we live in a world of stress, it's just how it goes,
Sure.
like, and
Yeah.
stress is required to live a meaningful life. So if we're
Yes.
experiencing stressors, we're not growing, we're not evolving. So we heal our relationship to stress, and we also heal our relationship to our adaptive survival strategies so that we get to be more choiceful and, oh, ooh, challenge is happening. How do I want to organize myself? How do I want to show up? How do I want to be in relationship to myself, to my work, to my partners, to my family, to my house, to my movement practices, right? To my relationship to food? Like, who am I
And who do I wanna be?
and who do I want to
You
be?
get that choice.
You
Yeah.
get the choice. And somatics, especially one of the lineages I work with really closely, I'm really practiced in, is the Strozzi lineage of somatics. And they are very practice centered, practice oriented. In Strozzi, we say 300 reps for embodiment,
Mm,
3,000 for embodiment under pressure.
yes. I love that because yeah, the like, "Oh, no, I'll do that when I experience the stress." Like, no, if it's not in your toolbox, it's not happening. So,
Exactly,
that's
exactly.
yeah.
And practicing something, so often people are like, "Oh, if it doesn't work, like, immediately," "Oh, I tried it for, like, a
Right,
week or 2." I'm like, "Okay, but in
right.
that week or 2, how many times did you give it a go? 7?"
It's
Right?
it's kinda like being kind of gluten-free. Like, it's just not a thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just think, like, I'm 36, so I'm like, I have been practicing anxiety for decades. Like,
Right.
right, the ADHD, I had that in my system for a very long time.
I'm a master at that.
Yeah, exactly. And so now with somatics, I get to practice something else enough times that I can create new neural pathways where even when I'm faced with stressor, pressure, challenge, I'm like, "Ooh, all right, I have
Yes.
another place I can go."
Yes.
So that is
Amazing.
somatics for me.
I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
And thank you for the shift because 'cause I'm a lot older than you. I got a couple decades on you. And my original background was in psychology, and so when I hear somatics, I too connect it to the word body,
yeah,
and it really is like, it should be being, right? Like, because
yeah,
it's so I love that, and I really appreciate that you're sharing with us that perspective and giving an understanding because for some people, like, they maybe have never even heard the word before.
yeah,
Um, and
yeah,
so, yeah, so much goodness.
yeah. And so now I'll layer on and bring in the perfectionism and the fascia, as you named earlier. And so when we think about adaptive survival strategies, they're really freaking cool, right? They're really, really cool. And most people are familiar with the fight or flight response, which are actually very
Yes.
different responses, but they're both
Yep.
sympathetic. They're both mobilizing, but very, very
Yes.
different. We also have, as you named earlier, Julie, a shutdown response.
Yeah.
And as we were thinking about nervous system, safety and survival, self and species, our first line of defense when we're faced with a stress or pressure or challenge is our social support.
Yes.
It's actually our first place we go is our network, is our community, is like, oh, like I'm doing this thing. I don't really know how it goes. Like I reach out to my mentor if I've got a question,
Right.
right? First line of defense, social support. Then we drop into immobilizing. And this can be anxiety, ADHD, or really, really common survival strategies.
Mhm.
And then the shutdown response. But perfectionism is a way of, it's an attempt, an adaptive attempt to stay in relationship, right? To stay in that social engagement, stay in
Yep.
relationship by being good enough, being valuable enough to make sure that I am safe and I am secure in my tribe. So,
And it shows up differently for everybody, you
for
know.
sure.
I think that was part of my big aha several years ago was it's not necessarily the CEO or the, you know, it's and for me, perfectionism was my route to immobilization,
Yeah.
right? It would keep me frozen
Yeah.
if I didn't have all the answers 10 steps down the line. And
Right.
so,
Yeah.
um, for listeners, the reason I'm sharing that piece is because sometimes we have this perception of what that label looks like or means, and we're not even actually honestly assessing, like, is this a part of my pattern?
Right. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you for bringing that up. For me, it was like I'm only one to-do list away from figuring it all out.
Yeah.
Or I just have to spend the next hour and a half tweaking my schedule, making sure my schedule for the next month is perfect, and then I'll have it all figured out.
Yeah.
Cycle for years. Sometimes I find myself in that cycle again. I'm like, "Oh, I know what I'm
Right.
doing."
But you recognize it. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yes. Yeah. There is that procrastination that's really can be connected because if it's not exceptional,
Right. Then
then
it's
I just can't put it forward, right? There's
yep.
that fear that it has to be perfect in order for it to be good enough, in order for me to be good enough. And until I get there, nobody else can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I get you, sister. Get I mean, I remember really fighting against my first business coach used to just constantly, "Done is better than perfect, done," and it was like, you don't understand. It can be done and perfect. Give me more time."
Yeah. I just can't sleep for the next 3 weeks. It's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah. I won't shower. I will order out most of my meals. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it is interesting how things just, you know, can show up differently in all of us, but yet it's a similar pattern or that it's a similar survival skill.
Yes.
Again, that those behaviors for me, you know, like at some point, whether it was childhood, infants, like does we don't
Mhm.
even have to know,
Neonatal
be able to
also.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I have one of my children was delivered with the cord around his neck.
Me too.
Guess which one of my children has had the most lifelong anxiety?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know, now to be fair, genetics, like you and I to have like the anxiety, ADHD thing
Yeah,
it can be a thing. But it's like, I mean, he was literally traumatized at birth, not even mentioning, or at the clinic, we see, a stressed mother is literally just bathing her baby in stress hormones while she's pregnant. So, we know like it starts way earlier.
yeah.
But again, the patterns aren't wrong. It's just they may not serve us anymore.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it really is about being flexible, right? So many people are in the like, "Oh, somatics, nervous system work to be calm. Calm down, calm down, calm down." The goal is not to be
No,
calm. The
go
goal is
with
to be
it.
flexible. The goal is
Yes.
to have
Resilient.
choice. Yeah.
Yes.
Resilience, to have choice, like, how do I wanna show up? Who do I wanna be in this moment? How do I wanna face this challenge? How am I gonna rise up and meet the moment in front of me? But it's about choice and it's about flexibility. It's not about calming down.
Yeah. I love that. S so enlightening. So, can we talk about fascia?
Yes, I was
Because
focused on
you
that.
used to
Well,
only hear it, in certain body work, and I
yeah,
don't know, and of course, our feeds are always targeted, right? So, but I am seeing, you have chronic pain, it's fascia. You're not flexible, it's fascia. You have trauma, it's fascia. You have autoimmune, it's fat. Like, what is
um,
really like, what even is our fascia?
mhm,
And then we can pull it all together with how the work you do, helps us release and like you said, create that flexibility and
yeah,
the practices that enable us to be strong and survive as a human and a species.
yes. So your fascia is connective tissue. Connective tissue is one of 4 types of tissue in your body. So you have your connective tissue, fascia is one of them, and it is a web. It connects everything in your body. And I think that's why everyone's like, "Oh, it's the fascia. Oh, it's the fascia," because it does. It literally connects. You have a superficial layer that is like a bodysuit. If you've ever seen like, I don't know, I used to watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, so maybe some people will get the reference, maybe not, but the Green Man, it's like the just the full bodysuit. And that's the superficial fascia. The deep layers are more like chains. Tom Myers calls them anatomy trains, and he's a really great resource if people want to go deeper into the fascia. Tom Myers and his work, Anatomy Trains. So you have those deep. What we're finding, which I think is really so exciting, particularly for the nervous system, is that we, you, your fascia is your richest sensory organ. Far beyond the eyes. We used to think the eyes took in the most amount of sensory input. Now we know it's the fascia, and the skin is a close second. Obviously, there's a lot of fascia in your skin. Again, we're talking about the superficial fascia, but we
Right.
have the deeper layers, but it literally connects every bone, every organ, every gland, everything in your body is encased with fascia, but also running through your fascia. Yeah. So it's connecting everything, which is why people are like, "Oh, well, maybe it's the fascia." Probably has a fascial component, right? But as you were naming earlier, everybody is so different. So the way the fascia inputs is going to be different from person to person. So it's really important to find, I think it's really important for everybody to find like a team of people to support you. um, so it's important that you have somebody who's really skilled in fascia or at least knows some enough about fascia to get you going and help you point out things or find somebody else. So very connected. What we're finding about it now is that it's richly innervated with sensory inputs, and your nervous system is using all of that sensory input to send either signals of safety, danger, or life threat to the
Yes.
nervous system. And the vagus nerve Very, very famous nerve, right? I'm sure most listeners have heard about the vagus nerve or vagal toning or vagal stimulation.
Mhm.
Um, it's the 10th cranial nerve. It's the wandering nerve. It goes to all of your
Everywhere,
organs,
every
everywhere.
organ. Yep,
It's 80% sensory. So it's gathering sensory information from the body, including the fascia, which is connected to outside of you. Yeah.
yep.
Taking all of that input, sending it to the brain for the brain to go, "Oh, this is how we have to adjust," and then sends 20% of the pathways back down to the motor pathways so that you behave differently.
Yeah.
80% sensory. A lot's coming from your fascia.
Has to be.
It has to be. It's a richest sensory organ, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely making a dent there. So that's really, really fascinating, and you mentioned muscle tension earlier. I saw some again from Tom Myers. He was like, "Do we have," and I forget how many muscles we have in the body, but over 200, right? 200, I think 206 or 209. And he goes, "Do we have 200 and let's just say 209, 209 muscles, or do we have one muscle with 209 fascial pockets?"
Mm. Yeah.
So we're really starting to get that so much of the pain that we're feeling could be referral pain from fascial tightness or trigger points, or they're called, from different parts of the body. So that's how it might be connected. So we talked about connected to the nervous system.
Mhm.
We talked about connected to muscle tension. And another piece I'll name is when we're everything that we are experiencing now is a practice. It's been practiced, right? As we named
Yep.
earlier. Part of that practice is our posture and bracing patterns.
Mm.
So, one of the things that happens when we're more in the shutdown
Mhm.
is we forget to breathe.
Yes.
And that is really freaking smart. If there is a predator and you're like, I
Right.
can't make a noise, I cannot let them hear me breathe.
Mhm.
Hold my breath. Super smart, adaptive, wise survival strategy.
Sure, it's great if you're, living in the jungle 2,000 years ago. But when you have all of these inputs of stressors all the time, it
Right.
does not serve us anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's fascial holding inside of that too. Because again, the fascia encloses, it enwraps,
Sure.
it entangles. There's 3 different layers of fascia. So it runs through every like strand of muscle. It runs around the whole muscle and then it runs around the whole organism. So, so interwoven that when we adopt these, like, I'm going to hold my breath, or I'm going to breathe high into my chest, or, oh, often shoulders are up near the ears, like, or the head's coming back, or maybe we've got the rounded forward posture and we're like sort of slumped and collapsed and like, why bother? Like nothing I do makes a difference, or right? Or we're like leaning forward because we're like, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna get it done. We have postural adaptations. And this is very connected to behavior, very connected to stress, very connected to adaptive survival strategies. What's holding that is the fascia. We used to think the skeleton, we used to think the bones is what held us up. Now we
Right.
know if we took the fascia up, we'd just be like a puddle of skin on the floor.
Yeah. Amazing. So, for all our listeners that have their checklists and they're,
Mhm.
eating well and they're executing
Yeah.
and they're not improving, share with us some of your magic. Like what are some things where do you have people start?
Yeah. I have people start in resourced. And that is a membership that I have for the sake of resourcing your nervous system to become more aware of your patterns, not aware mentally, aware somatically,
Mhm.
so that you can make better decisions for how you want to show up and how you want to meet the moment, right? We resource ourselves to feel safe enough to come home to ourselves and to come alive again in the most authentic way possible. So I always have people start in resource. And the really freaking cool thing about resource, which we just figured out how to do, I'm so excited about this, is that we have a forever free entry level option, forever
Oh,
free, where people can come in and get the foundational somatic practices and the foundational breathing techniques, because breath work is such a big buzzword right now, but we like don't know how to breathe. And then we're trying to like do a
right.
crazy breathing technique. We're like, wait,
Right.
let's
What's in the middle? Yeah.
let's learn how to walk before we run a marathon is like kind of my thing, like if we're trauma is
Yeah.
anything that's too much too soon, too big, too
Right.
intense, or not enough. But
Yeah.
if we're like, let me just get into breath work and do, a holotropic breath pattern
I
or
knew you were gonna say that because that was where my brain went. Yeah.
you're like, oh, that might be too much too soon. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not. Right. But for so many people who aren't connected to body and they do these things and they're having these like big cathartic releases, it's not trauma informed, it's not somatic, and it can often do more harm than good. So we really have to get connected to body, learn to listen to body. Like, hey,
Yeah,
what's going
which
on in
is
here?
essential for healing, period. Hard stop. Like, yeah.
Yes. I should get your quote on my landing page. Essential for healing, period. Hard stop. Yeah. So there's a forever free option, foundational somatic practices, breath practices. And then if you want to upgrade, which you don't have to, but there's other, there's
You go
practice.
deeper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's somatic practices for setting boundaries, somatic practices for taking up more space, somatic
Mm,
practices to restore your energy, so forth. That is by far, in my opinion, the best place to start with somatic work, especially somatic work with me.
I love that. That's amazing. Um, it is interesting. I just wanna circle back to because I get this question all the time, well, okay, if humans are designed with this, beauty and intelligence we've touched on it, but I want to kind of underscore how differently we're living now versus how we were designed to live. And lots of benefits. Like I love that we're in different states and I get to see your beautiful smile this morning and learn from you.
Yeah.
So, yes, lots of good, but that just means we need to be actively
Yeah.
making sure that we support the systems we were designed with. And so you touched on you mentioned like indigenous cultures. One of the first, not one of the first coach training I did, which was amazing. One of the first things I learned was shaking medicine. Like not what I was expecting when
Great quote. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there there was and you did say this, but I wanna underscore for people if they're like, "Well, why do we need to be doing these things? Why do we need to get" how did we lose touch with our bodies? All the things, and what was built into daily life and culture. Just right off the top, we didn't have the global stressors because we had no
Mhm.
idea what was going on,
Mhm.
a mile away. Forget,
Right. Right. And a
um
totally different continent.
yeah.
Wild. That is
Yeah,
wild. Yeah.
it is. It
Yeah.
really is. And so we've talked about that part a lot, but
Mhm.
but also, I love that you highlight like what we're discussing right now is a modern Western culture problem. Because we don't have dances like all of
Mhm.
these things, like
Yeah.
forgetting just the day to day life. Like there were and are in other cultures practices built in to community.
Right.
And we tend to, unless we can find and create our community, we tend to not have those, and we need them more than ever. And so I just wanted to kind of highlight for the,
Yeah.
I'm a skeptic. Um,
We should be.
and I'm proud to be a skeptic. Exactly.
Well, yeah.
You know?
There's
And
some
so for
lies left and right. Yeah.
for the listeners that are like, huh, I just wanted to highlight that, like these practices used to be incorporated into life and
Yeah.
they're not anymore. And we need them
Yeah.
so much more than ever.
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful question. I think, I mean, there's so many places that I could go, so I'm gonna rein it in, and I'm gonna choose two things to share here. And one is that where this comes from, my belief, and what we talk about a lot, with my teachers is Rene Descartes, if you remember him, he said, I'll just do the English translation because this is
thank
a
you.
yeah. Uh,
It'll be more meaningful.
yeah. I think,
Therefore,
therefore I am.
yes,
And therein lies the Western
problem.
belief
Yeah,
that we prioritize this brain, our
right.
ability to think, our ability to reason and logic, which is really freaking cool. Like, that is a beautiful skill
It's
set.
amazing, but
Yeah.
we're so much more than that.
And it's not everything. We're so much more. We're so much more. And I think it's so important to, and I talk about this all the time. We have three languages that we know, and we lose the first two because we prioritize the thinking brain.
Right. Yeah.
So it's culturally indoctrinated in us that the brain, the mind, the ability to think is the only thing that matters. It's the only thing that's worthy. But the first language that we learn, and we don't have to learn this. We are born knowing the language of sensation. I know
Yes.
if I'm wet. I know if I'm dry. I know if I'm cold or I'm hot. I can feel my mother, my caregiver holding me. I can feel the sensation of pressure. I can feel when I'm pooping myself, right? I can feel when I need to do that, right?
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not now when I'm a baby, right? But as a baby, we know all of this.
Yeah.
It's so inherent in being human and being alive, just and being alive.
Well,
So
and it's not even, sorry, but it's not even, it doesn't stop at the perception. Like, you
no.
take touch, being held, being hugged. Well, hormones are released, like,
Mhm, mhm,
these are the things that are running our bodies.
exactly. This is my point.
And so, yeah, sorry,
Exactly.
I got
Yeah.
excited.
No, that was beautiful. That was so beautifou. I'm glad you brought it again because it's all connected. We were
Right.
talking about the fascia, talking about hormones, like,
Yeah.
it's all connected. That's why somatics is so cool. It's because it's like we do a little bit of everything, and then we're like, "Okay, you need a hormone expert. Okay, you need a this expert, right? You need a body worker, whatever." So, first language
Sorry, the
communication. Yeah.
languages. Yes.
Touch, exactly. Hormones, all connected. So important. The second language we learn is our emotional language. We learn when we're happy and sad and mad. And gotta say, my generation, I'm in 30, I'm a millennial. I did not learn this very well. I'm sure your generation did not. I think we learned it more than you guys learned it. Sorry. Um, but the emotional language, right? Where we're able to really identify something that we're feeling and have an outlet, like have a relationship with it.
And express it safely.
Exactly.
'Cause that's the,
Exactly.
yeah, some of it isn't even, some of it could be not generational, but familial, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
so, yeah, and you're right, 'cause I think it's it does kind of this, like, what's acceptable and what's being taught and what do we talk about and,
Mhm.
um, you know, then there's the whole masculine feminine of, like, societally what's accepted, which isn't
Appropriate.
actually true masculine
We're
and
helpful.
feminine,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. We all
so
have masculine energy, we all have feminine energy.
yes.
Masculine energy is allowed to cry, it's allowed to be
Yes.
vulnerable, it's allowed to be upset, it's allowed to be hurt, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, we do definitely have to
Yeah,
heal the toxic
but you're
masculine.
right, so those are
Those are
quashed.
those are the languages, and, I might even argue that we don't even actually learn the emotional language. I feel, and I'm seeing this around, with, my friends and on social media and things, is that so many caregivers now are teaching their children emotional
Yes.
language, which is yes, just
Yeah,
thank you, thank you, thank you. Then the 3rd language we learn, around the age of 8, really grasp the language 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, is to speak and to think in
yeah,
complex and intricate language. So this with Rene Descartes, this is the only one that was prioritized. The thinking, I'm pointing for anyone listening, I'm pointing to my
yes,
prefrontal cortex and my medial prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain that is prioritized, and everything else is swept under the rug, is deemed less important, and then you add on capitalism
yeah,
and the worthiness attached to what your job title is, how much money you make, and the status of what you own, how big your house is, right? All of the things where we're just now on this hamster wheel of deny. And again, if we don't learn the emotions, we don't even know how to connect to what we're feeling. I
right.
can't tell you how many people I start working with, which is why I'm like, resource is the best place. You will learn this really deeply, is to learn those languages so that you really understand who you are and what you want and what's important to you and what's worth your time, energy, and attention and what is not worth your time, energy, and attention. Because there are things we are saying yes to that we really should not be saying yes to because they're not important to us.
Amen.
So
Absolutely.
there's where I think it comes from. And again, we can go on a whole big tangents and rants,
Yes,
but Rene Descartes, mind body split, I think therefore I am, capitalism, big part of it, where we're just suppressing our emotional needs. Like, how often do we skip meals for the sake of being more productive or like just drink caffeine instead of taking a little siesta, right? Not culturally acceptable. Like we wear busy as a badge of
yeah, no, it's not actually, and, like, that is so out of style.
yeah, yeah, yes,
It's
love it.
time to take that off, for sure. So where can listeners I'm gonna ask anyway where they can find you, but while we're on this right now, where can they find resourced? Where can they find
Yeah,
some of your amazing work?
yeah. So if you search for the stress healers, my website is thestretsshealers.com. Um, and you'll find resourced on my website. You'll also find resourced on my Instagram. And that's also, you can find me at the stress healers. So it's my highest intention is that everybody learns to be their own stress healer, that we are so empowered to know who we are and what we need, that we don't always have to be looking outside of us for the answers. So that's my goal, is that we all become our own stress healer and we get to share that with our friends and our families and share nervous system health and harmony. But that is
Which I love, I heard you say, and I was like, "Oh, I say that all the time." Not a great business model, but, like, if I do my job well, you don't need a coach, right? If Stephanie is doing her job well, you
yeah.
become your own
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
it's a great business model because there are enough
well,
people on the planet. Yeah, I'm not
I
worried
I
about
don't
that.
mean it from a
Yeah,
scarcity place,
okay,
I
yeah,
just
yeah,
like, there's not if you have to work with me for the rest of your life, not good at my job,
Yes.
period.
Period. Yep.
So, and that's
I'm
not
with
the
you.
goal. We're both, and that was what resonated with me, when I was, like, just digging in and researching you. I was like, "Oh,
Mm.
it's about the empowerment." It's about because that's what all of this is about, us, losing that, and so stepping back into that
Yeah.
by connecting,
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah.
So we're at the point where listeners are leaning in
Mhm.
because they wanna know Stephanie's one step that they can take starting today to improve their health.
Yeah. I already named resourced, so I'm gonna let that be. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring actually back in the second part to what I wanted to name a little bit earlier, and I did go on a tangent of René Descartes. So this is the other piece that I wanted to name, is around how much we're looking at screens
Mm,
and the nervous system.
yes.
When we are stressed, when we are triggered by, evolutionarily speaking, when there's a stressor, a pressure, a challenge, a threat, we focus in and we track
Mhm.
it.
Yes.
We're doing that 8 or more hours a day on a computer, on a phone, on a TV. We're tracking. This is sending signals of danger to your nervous system. The tracking.
Mm,
Tracking a fine point, little tiny point, and I'm tracking, tracking, tracking. So, one thing that I will invite people to do is at least once in your day, if not 10 times, because this is going to take you 10 seconds, look away from your screen and look
yes,
wide.
yep, love that.
Look wide. So maybe that means you literally get up from your desk and open a window and you look outside at the horizon, at the trees, at the mountains or a ridge, that you are just several times a day looking away from your screen, letting your eyes widen, soften, and relax. Super simple. Again, it takes
So
10.
impactful, though. It is. It works.
Yeah.
It's not something, again, if you go back in time, we were scanning the horizon
Yeah.
throughout the day, and and so, I love that you said that. That's not something that we've talked about. If we have, it's been a few years.
Great.
Um, and I love it's free, it's fast, it's simple, and we need to do it. So yay, Stephanie. I love it.
Yay.
So I'll repeat again for people listening on the go who aren't going to check the notes and the links. Whether it's I'm typically one of those people as I listen when I'm on the go. um, your website, your Instagram, and oh my gosh, do you have amazing, fantastic content on Instagram as well. So check out the Stress Healers, thestresshealers.com, at the Stress Healers, and look for Stephanie's content and check it out because I totally concur. This is not my field of specialty, but I know for a fact that we all need this work. So I really appreciate the not just that you're bringing it to all of us, but the way that you do. So guys, if you're listening on audio, like you got to check out Stephanie's content because you're just make it also relatable and tangible. Like anybody can do the things that you are teaching. And so thank you for what you're doing.
Wow, thank you. I'm holding, yeah, for those listening, I'm holding my heart and really taking that in. I appreciate that reflection. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. For everyone listening, remember you can get those show notes, transcripts, and links by visiting inspiredliving.show. I hope you had a great time and enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to Inspired Living with Autoimmunity, hosted by Julie Houghton, your autoimmune coach. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone in your life who needs to hear it. For the complete show notes, links, transcripts, and everything discussed today, visit inspiredliving.show. You can also send in your questions there to be answered by Julie in a future episode. That's inspiredliving.show. Remember, it's time to take your power back.